Hello everybody, welcome to my weird wonderful world, and on this video I want to talk about albums mostly from my collection that I have that are what I call continuous flow albums. That is, when you're listening to them, there's no break between the songs. It just continuously flows from one track to the next with seamlessly, almost as if it was one giant song. I have a few examples here. I managed to find at least 14, but I know there is more. And for it to count, it has to have at least 50% or more of it being continuous. You're allowed a break here or there. It doesn't matter. But if most of it is continuous, then yeah, that's what counts. That's what counts the most. Now, the first one I wanted to bring up would be Ben. I think they are the originators of the concept album. I think this album here in particular is the very first one to use a continuous, like in the nature of these particular types of songs, one continuous track. Although they're separate songs, completely separate from each other, the songs do bleed into each other and there's a continuous flow. And I'm talking about Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. Yeah, the Beatles. This album here is a continuous flow. When you play that, and and all of these albums I'm about to show you, I have played them within the last year or so. Okay, each one of these, and when I listen to an album, what's important to me is all the aspects of an album, whether the songs are separated or they have a continuous flow, the length of each song, the length of the album, the order that the songs are in. Sometimes you can tell that the order would be in reverse order or whatnot. There's a few albums I have where the songs are actually in reverse order. You're supposed to actually play it in reverse order. But we're just talking about continuous flow, and so this is the first one I'm mentioning. These are not ranked; these are pretty random. They are in a particular order that I want them in. Because my two most favorite ones that I own are at the end, and I'll present those last. We'll get to those. But the next one I want to talk about, and I would say, okay, if you discount the second side of the album, because if you're playing on LP, that whole first side of Rush 2112 would be considered a continuous flow album. Uh, I mean, the other half kind of gets broken up between the tracks. They're not. It's not as much of a continuous flow, but all these songs is as one giant song, but they are separate tracks. Just pointing that out. That sort of counts somewhat. That's like, for me, that's pretty much on the edge. And speaking of edge, this one here, not talking about any of the bonus stuff, I'm talking about just the album itself. It is a continuous flow of an album. I'm talking about, yes, Close to the Edge, that's for sure. And even, I would even throw in there Fragile, too. Yes, Fragile. Yep. I think this also has a nice continuous flow to it where the songs bleed into each other and they don't really break between the songs. So that's in there too. And speaking of bands that are sort of in a similar vein, I also want to point out this Pink Floyd The Wall. Like, even though it's two albums, the whole thing, you put it on, it's one continuous flow. Each song bleeds into the other song. You know, there's not really a break in between any of the songs because you're kind of like, it's like listening to almost like a movie put to songs. And of course, there is the movie for this for sure that you should check out if you have never done so. But that has a continuous flow to it. Both CDs. Now I can't get through this list without mentioning my favorite band of all time, which is Tool. So first there would have been this here. some of those songs do bleed into together. There are more breaks than there are, but in some way, yeah, this does have a certain amount of continuous flow between tracks. Certain tracks set up other tracks. There's more atmospheric, kind of Revolution number 9-ish type stuff on this. But I do like it. But it's on the again. I say this is on the border of being a continuous flow album. But this is definitely a continuous flow album. There's connections between Eon Blue Apocalypse and The Patient, and then of course there's that flow that goes between Mantra to Schism to Parabola and Parabola. How they there's a bit of a break between Parabola and Ticks and Leeches, and a bit of a break between the rest. But once you get to Disposition, after that, all those songs kind of flow into each other. So I say this counts. This is a little bit more, just a little bit touch more than 50% of the album. So it's a continuous flow album. It is. This is definitely a continuous flow album. And I hadn't listened to this in quite a while, but I do remember that this here, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Blood Sex, uh, yeah, it was the Blood Sugar Sex Magic. Yeah, that album here is one of those continuous flow. Each song flows gently into the next. There's no breaks between the songs, none. So this definitely counts. Even like even a couple of the gorillas, but most specifically, Demon Days. This is a continuous flow album. When you just put it on, you meant it. Yeah, the songs do flow in and out of each other, and to a certain extent, even I should have probably included it. Even Plastic Beach from the Gorillas has a certain continuous flow to it to a certain degree. I could have mentioned those. Now, this next band, I have four examples in different genre styles. The same band, four different types of genres, and all very awesome continuous flow albums. Most of their albums, I would have to say, if I remember correctly, are continuous flow, but these are the ones that stood out for me. So so of course I'm talking about King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, and this is with the Mile High Club, and this is the Sketches of Brunswick East. This is a one. This is completely a continuous flow of an album. There's no breaks between the songs, but you can tell where the songs change from one to the other, like which all of these you can. But it doesn't matter because this is a continuous flow. And why I'm bringing up the continuous flow, I'm now okay with I'm Patreon with Larry Graves' album review. Like once a month, he does a review of an album. The last album I had him do, my first album I got him to review was this one here, Legend of the Seagull Man. And and it always occurs to me that when he's breaking down an album, he he likes to rate each song individually before going on to the next song. And what he's doing, he's breaking up the album. And I'm just thinking to myself, which these albums here, I would never be able to give them necessarily to review because these albums need to be listened to in their entirety so that so that you connect with the flow of the album rather than try to separate each song individually and judge them each on their own merit. It's not these all these albums are not meant to be seen that way, and especially this album here. This it's one continuous song. Like there's barely a break. There's no break between each of the songs, and and of course this too. And like between each song, you can tell there's a song change. You know that there's a song change coming up. Okay, but there's always some sound that connects one song from to the next. There's no actual break between songs. There's like they're changing songs, and you can clearly hear that they're changing songs, but there's always some sort of background guitar or sound in the background that's keeping them connected so that it's continuous. But now I get to my last two here, my two all-time favorite continuous albums that I own, and the one that I'm putting in first place. I listened to that last night or yesterday at one point, and I love it. I love it. I like if I would want to like it's a would I say it's a challenging album? Yeah, it is a challenging album. Maybe even the other one too, depending on your age range. Some people are more accepting of it than others. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. And I'm talking about this is at number two, okay, of King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, and this is Nonagon Infinity, the ultimate flow album where each song flows seamlessly into the next one, and if you loop it, if you perfectly connect the last song with the first song, it's an endless loop that goes for Nonagon Infinity. It's 9 songs, hence the non-agon part of it, infinity because it never ends. It just goes around in a loop and a loop and a loop and a loop over and over and over and over and over again. And it's meant to do that. It's awesome. So that is it, number one, and how each song sort of has elements of the previous songs in it, and so much more. So that's at number two. What could beat that? I mean, this is still my second favorite album of all time, right next to Lateralis here. These are my two favorite albums of all time, and they're of course they're I put them in the category of continuous having a continuous flow. But at number one, okay, I would have to say, and I'm not judging the music, although I give this a 10 out of 10. I truly do love this album, and probably is my favorite album of this band. I'm talking about Ogre. Yeah, I'm bringing this up again. Ogre, Devil in My Details. This is 100% an album you need to listen to in its entirety without breaking it up song by song. It's not an album you can break up song by song. You have to listen to it all in its entirety. It just to stop it after each song and give it a judgment or give it a review on its own on their own. You're giving such a disservice to this album. This is meant to be listened to in one, and it's about 42 minutes long, so it is a little bit lengthier than I was imagining it. Because for me, it seems shorter. It goes by so fast. Because once you get into the ride of it and where the flow, there's some talk, some spoken word here and there, but all yeah, it's I do also recommend this as much as I recommend the Lemonheads. It's a shame about Ray. I also recommend this album to people. Again, it's probably not going to be to your liking the first time around, but this is with repeat listens. This will get into your head, and it's just like it gets better every time I play it. And when I was listening to it yesterday, I was thinking of this idea of like I need to do an episode where I talk about continuous albums that you need to listen to at one go. And so yeah, this is at number one. This is at number two. But all the other ones here are really good contenders of being, and I'm sure I'm missing others from my collection. But if you guys know of some cool ones that you guys like, that you guys have, let me know in the comments below. And if you haven't subscribed to me yet, please do, because I will love you forever and greatly appreciate it. Do not be afraid to hit that like button. Of course, leave a comment. I do try everything in my power to respond to your comments, and I do want to know what you guys have for a continuous flow. And remember, there's no like very little to no breaks between the songs. It just goes from one end to the other, from start to finish, with one continuous flow. And yeah, so everybody, I'm going to let you go right now. So be safe, take care. I will see you on the flip side. And please, everybody, have a great day, evening, morning, night, or afternoon, wherever you may be. Peace.